Once upon a time, a rich widower decided to marry again, so his lovely daughter could have a mother to care for her. Unfortunately, he chose a proud and selfish woman with 2 daughters just like herself. He died soon after, and then his daughter was made to work like a servant in their own house. When the girl had finished her work, she used to sit in the chimney corner among the cinders, so everyone called her Cinderella. Her clothes were dirty and ragged, but even so, she was far prettier than her sisters. One day, an invitation came from the prince's ball. The sisters were thrilled, but the cruel stepmother would not allow Cinderella to go. She helped her stepsisters to get ready and was left behind when they set off for the palace. She sat in the garden weeping bitterly when suddenly who should appear beside her but her fairy godmother. "Why are you crying, my child?" asked the fairy. "I would so love to go to the ball," replied Cinderella. "And so you shall," said the fairy godmother, "if you bring me a large pumpkin, 6 white mice, and a rat, and 6 lizards." Puzzled, Cinderella rushed to do as she was asked, and returned with all the items. The fairy godmother, with just a flick of her magic wand, turned the pumpkin into an elegant carriage, the mice into fine horses, the rat into a coachman, and the lizards into footmen. The final flourish of the wand turned Cinderella's rags into a beautiful ball gown, and on her feet she found a pair of delicate glass slippers. "Now you are ready," said the fairy godmother, "but be sure to leave by midnight, for at that moment the magic will end." Cinderella stepped into the carriage. The coachman cracked the reins, and the white horses snorted and cantered off to the prince's ball. Cinderella waved goodbye to her fairy godmother, thanking her for her magical help. When she entered the fine ballroom, Cinderella was by far the most beautiful woman there, and the prince only had eyes on her. The prince only danced with Cinderella all evening, and the time sped by. When Cinderella heard the clock begin to chime midnight, she could not believe her ears. It took Cinderella a while to realise what the chimes meant. Then suddenly she remembered what her fairy godmother had said. Cinderella raced from the ballroom, persuaded by the prince, and in her haste she lost one of her glass slippers. As the prince bent down to retrieve the slipper, the clock struck 12. When he stood up, Cinderella was nowhere to be found. She was running back to her house dressed in old rags. All the guests were sent away, for the prince was in no mood for celebration. The prince went to every house in the entire kingdom in search of Cinderella. He took the glass slipper to the king and said, "I will find the maiden whose foot this slipper fits, and when I have found her, she will be my bride." At last he came to Cinderella's house, where Cinderella's stepsisters tried desperately to squeeze the dainty slipper onto their big, clumsy feet. "Are there any other women home?" asked the prince. "Only Cinderella," said the stepmother. but she works in the kitchen and we didn't take her to the ball." "Bring her here," demanded the prince. When Cinderella tried on the slipper, it slipped snugly onto her dainty foot. The stepmother and her daughters were white with rage. Looking into Cinderella's eyes, the prince recognized her and took her away to be his bride. They lived happily for many years, and the princess was kind to her servants and always invited them to their annual ball. They lived happily ever after. The end.